Hey guys, it's me Rebecca. So this will be the start of another weekly vlog, and if you saw my last vlog, you would have remembered I did say I did start a new book after I finished Normal People. And that book is more... It's a release that came out this month, and it is The Lamb by Lucy Wolves. I was about to say Lucy Score, but that's a different author. But yeah, this is the harbor. This is the check it. Book itself is right next to me, and this is about Margot and Mama, who've lived by the forest ever since Margot can remember. Margot is not at school. They spend quiet days together in their cottage, waiting for strangers to knock on their door. Strays, Mama calls them. People who have strayed too far from the road. Mama loves the strays. She feeds them wine, keeps them warm, then she satisfies her burning appetite by picking apart their bodies. But Mama's want is stronger than her hunger sometimes, and when a beautiful white-toothed stray named Eden turns up in the heart of a snowstorm, Margot must confront the shifting dynamics of her family, untangle her own desires, and make her bid for freedom. And so far we get that, and we do get some descriptions of the cannibalism in them. I guess what Margot has to do for her mother. And so far I am very much liking it. We start with the novel when Margot is like 4 years old, when she's cleaning human fingers in a shower drain after she and her mother ate these strays who came to their house. And like, her mama will call them strays and like kind of put on the air like, oh, she's a good host, trying to bring comfort to them. Like, she does things to have these strays or people who let their guard down before she launches at them. Like it's like she'll not launch at them like full on like stab them, but it's like she'll put some sort of poison in their drinks and they'll die, and then she will cut up their bodies and freeze them, and it's this Margot and Mama. Margot's father has left the family like way before this. Like when Margot was extremely young, because she doesn't remember him at all. It seems like to Margot, Mama is trying to make him like she doesn't remember her father like I said. But Mama is trying to make him seem like a bad guy who didn't love them or anything, or he didn't understand them, and Margot and Mama seem to have tried to erase him from their lives, like take down their pictures, and she won't let Margot into the bedroom. It seems like the bedroom is where she'll cut up the strays before she'll cook them and freeze them and all that, like, and chop them up really before freezing them. And it seems like it's just the way things are. I should say Mama seems to have two hungers. Like she has this hunger from her, like this appetite for human flesh that she has claimed has always been there. Like when she was a little kid, she would eat her own baby teeth. And Mama does tell the story of the first time she ate a human being, of this lonely woman on the street corner when she was like 12, who she would put him there like a nice child to her, and then one day she told this woman that another child had gotten trapped under a fridge or something. I'm not sure about that. And she hit the lady in the head and like sucked her brain or ate her brain while the woman was still alive. Mama has this hunger that's never satisfied, never fully filled, and she has this craving for human beings. But also, Mama has this other hunger. It seems like she wants to be loved and wants someone who will understand her and be around always. Like she'll bring men over to the cottage, sleep with them, and then they'll leave. And it seems like she's somewhat satisfied, but not fully. And with when Margot is in school, Mama's taught her to not like bring attention to herself, which keep her head down and just be invisible, so no one is like wary of them more. is suspicious of them or anything. Like, Mama doesn't want anyone to have a reason to come to the cottage in an inconvenient moment, it seems like. But with that, it seems like Margot is struggling in school. Like, she doesn't understand what the teachers are trying to teach her because her normal is very much different to the normal of everyone else. And it is intriguing to see that like, her struggling to kind of blend in and her being an outcast, but also the teachers don't seem to really be helping her. Like, one teacher is upset that he cannot teach her, and it seems like it's more of like his ego being like kind of taking a hit from her. But also we see Margot kind of develop this sort of like a friendship with this girl named Abby, af- who whose father was once Mama's lover. And when Eden shows up, we see how things have changed in the cottage. Like, initially, Eden was a stray, but something about her infiltrated Mother, and Mama decided this woman isn't a stray, but she is definitely not leaving. And yeah, things have changed. It seems like Eden has kind of domesticated Mama. Like, there's a family dynamic there, and I do like that family dynamic. We do also see how Eden responds to how when Mama gets, I guess, in her way of like dealing with strays, because Abby's father comes back to the cottage drunk. He's once Mama's lover, and he wants to stay. And this guy is married, has a kid still, and Mama says, "Nope, he's gonna die. He's gonna feel her hunger next." Margot sees this as a sign that Mama's gone. Margot, it's also like, I guess Mama also trying to see if Eden has, I guess, the stomach for this, and Eden, it seems like so far definitely has the stomach to deal with this. Like, she is covered in blood, cutting up with this guy, and it's like it doesn't seem like she's too upset. Like, I think in a way she is similar to Mama. Like, I'm intrigued to see that, and Margot does find like newspapers and in Eden's car about two people who were strays, and it seems like there are rumors about what happens to lost hikers and suspicions about that, like in the forest where they live. And either Mama doesn't know about these rumors or these talks, or she doesn't care. It seems like she doesn't leave the cottage. She doesn't like to leave the cottage. Like, being surrounded by people overwhelms her. So it does seem like she and Margot do live in this poverty where they just don't have a lot of food, and they have to forage for their own food a lot. And I don't know. It's very much curious to see more about Mama and really see if anything will be dealt with, like with people talking about lost hikers, and if there will be suspicions towards Margot and Mama. Yeah, and I'm also hoping that Margot does find someone to help her, like, really learn properly, I guess. Like, I don't know. And yeah, and I'm sorry if I seem out of it today. We did get some snow and we had to shovel, and I don't know, that just took me out. Like, I'm extremely tired, so yeah. But yeah, I think that's all for now. So it's the next day. It's been quite a long day. I just had a lot of work I had to do and some other things going on. But I did do some reading of The Lamb, and I'm on page 178, and I'm, in a way, I don't want to say I'm enjoying it because this is not a book you can say that lightly, but I am very much liking it, like, seeing how with this introduction of Eden, it changes the dynamic between Mama and Margot. How for all of Margot's life, it's this really been Mama and Margot. Like, Margot doesn't remember her father whatsoever, and this change, in a way, it frightens her because she feels like Eden is replacing her, I guess, the most important person in Mama's life. And Mama is like, yeah, like I was someone before I had you, I still want that independence. There's just a lot of changes, and I think in a way it frightens Margot because she doesn't really understand what's going on, and she's never really like, I guess, experienced this healthy relationship, and I don't think Mama has as well, because we learn that Margot's mom married Margot's dad when Mama was only like 17, so extremely young, and she was at first maybe in love with him, but it really seems like infatuated with him, and it seems like the feeling was mutual. Like he was infatuated by her, but when he really got to know her and learned more about her, he just wasn't satisfied, and it seems like they married us to fulfill, I guess, this wish that Margot's grandmother had, which was to see her daughter married and to have children, the grandmother to have grandchildren before she died, and he didn't really have them. Yeah, and I don't know, seeing the whole change is just very much intriguing, and also the effect Eden has on the family. So yeah, I do have to say, learning more about Eden is quite interesting, because we learn Eden didn't really come from a happy family herself. Like her mom died giving birth to her. The mom worked as a cleaner, and the employer was just like a piece of shit. Like when she went into labor with Eden, he made her like wash the floor of the mess she was making because of that. And then she died, and the father and Eden, there was no love there. Eden didn't really belong in that small town, and she left him. Anyway, she doesn't really like humans. Like she's traveled the world, in so many places, been somewhere, so many places really. And she says that she's been to so many places, but yeah, the people are the same. They're all greedy, selfish, like they're people. So seeing that's also quite interesting. And I do have to say, speaking of adults in Margot's life, is I'm really loving the dynamic the care this bus driver has for her, because he worries about her. Like he probably deals with her maybe like, I don't know, like wow, like they take maybe 20-30 minutes a day, and he's like, how's things at home? Are you eating well? Like it's like quite fatherly. So I'm hoping that maybe he'll be able to get her out of this situation. You just know something's bad gonna happen to him. Like you just don't know, but yeah. And with Eden and Mama, we see like their love for each other. It seems like they're both obsessed with another, because they finally found someone or something that makes them happy. And we see how Mama, she I guess not poisons, but puts a hex or a spell or something in Eden's drink to try and ensure that she stays, that she has no desire to leave them, because that's what Mama fears, that Eden will leave them, and that fears there. There's this quote on page 157 as like, I wonder if her love for Eden will keep her full. And Mama has always had two hungers, I feel like, the hunger for human flesh and armor, but also this hunger to be loved. And in one way she is being fulfilled, like when every now and then when the stray will come over, but she will have a more permanent, I guess, feeling if with Eden, and seeing that and all that, and how in a way Eden reminds Mama of the real world, because Mama is one who wants to keep herself isolated. Like she doesn't like being around strays. Like she likes being in her cabin away from everyone. And it reminds her that if she does get too reckless, like if too many people go missing near those woods, people are gonna get suspicious and ask questions. So she reminds Mama that there are things at stake, like Mama will lose the solitude she craves. She'll lose Margot. There's so much at stake with what she just to satisfy her craving again. Seeing the whole thing is quite interesting, and seeing Margot develop her own hunger, but also this I guess guilt she has over eating her classmate's father, a classmate she wants to be friends with or is friends with. In a way, she feels bad, but at the same time, she's like, he's tasty. So I think that's just quite interesting, and seeing like how both of the women in Margot's life want her to also isolate herself so that no one asks questions. Like it's all about really fulfilling Mama's hunger, it seems like. And I guess in a way, since Eden's introduction, in Mama's brain, Margot's kind of gone in the back burner. Like she's become more of a second thought. So I think that's interesting. So yeah. So far I'm very much enjoying this novel. Like it's just I feel bad for Margot in a sense. Like it just doesn't seem like the most healthy like family dynamic as well. Like when there's no meat in the house, like there's not much food in the house otherwise, so she will go hungry. So it's like she just wants to be fed, and she just wants food. That's her hunger. This food in. I don't know. In a way, her hunger is quite different to mine. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's really all of my thoughts for now. I do have to say there was a scene where we get like them cutting up the stray, and my word, like I don't think this is a book you can read if while eating for certain people. Like yeah, but in a way it also like shows like how like they no longer see these people as people. Like they even with the word strays, like they humanize them, and I don't know, that was something quite interesting about that, I guess. So yeah, I think that's all of my thoughts for now. So I'll see you. So it's the next day, and I just got back a few hours ago from running some errands, and since then I've just been doing some work and all that. Taking a break because my brain feels fried, so yeah, that's lovely. But I did do quite a bit of reading today of the Lemon. I'm on page, I just looked at it, like this 282, and something has happened. Something's happening, I should say, that I feel like we should have anticipated or were anticipated by the way certain characters talked, and how some things that Margot hinted at, and the way that certain characters looked at her. Let's just say I'm not gonna go on that, but I am afraid for Margot. Like this could go one of two ways for her, and I fear it might go one way. Yeah, when you see like with Margot growing up, really like becoming more of a woman, like we get this whole thing with her getting her first period and how painful it is for her, like her cramps, and it's just yeah, and just her and the people around her growing up, like her Abby and her. Abby has hinted that she might have some feelings for Margot, which confuses Abby because she was taught the feeling she has for Margot she should be having for boys, so I think it's like a bit confusing. I don't know, they're all growing up, and with that, Margot, like it seems like the way she's growing up, it makes Mama love her less, because Mama loved her when she was extremely young, extremely small, when she was able to, I guess, manipulate Margot more easily, because Margot, I think, is becoming more independent than Mama again. In a way, and at one point prevents Mama from eating, because a stray comes across Margot when she's in the woods, and she tells the stray to run before Mama can get to her. So anyway, Margot is becoming her own person, and I think the fact she's becoming independent and no longer and distancing herself from Mama is what eventually leads Mama to side with Vita and decide to do what it did. Like the breaking point was that Margot broke a rule, which was not to bring attention to herself when she bit a boy in her class who was bullying her. Yeah. And I mean, I think with that, like Mama really left Margot, and Margot was like a part of her, and Mama didn't want kids. Mama should not be a mother at all. Like she's too self-centered. She only cares about herself. Like I just, but yeah, yeah. A lot of things we did learn, and we did learn some things about what actually happened to Papa, which it was a scenario I think I already predicted here, so I'm not gonna say what it was. It's because spoilers, but my god, it was the way I was talking about it is. It was something, let's just say, like this entire book is interesting in a sense, like how they talk about consuming people. It's like they don't consume them, like they don't bite off their arm, the skin on their arm, like pork rib or whatever. Sometimes they'll bake the person into a pie, or if Eden being around, she'll make the foods look nice, like. And I mean, it is everything to do with dehumanizes these characters and the people they eat, and no longer makes them humans, but just a simple meal. And I still find that, I guess, in a way, fascinating to say the least. So yeah, but let me do see as well. Besides the fact Margot is growing up and becoming more independent, and really like eventually she will leave Mama and Eden, and what they decide to do to keep her is only one thing, but another is that Mama's hunger is still going strong. Like she did tell Margot at one point that she could eat every human being on Earth and it still wouldn't satisfy this hole she has inside her that is craves and craves, and it's growing larger and larger, and eventually it will explode. Yeah, learning a lot of things, and really learning with Ian how far back her own hunger goes, how it seems like she was impregnated when she was like I think 15 and 6, and her dad made her carry the baby to term and give it up to adoption, and she wanted or did it, I'm not entirely sure, something. She ate the baby, ate him out, and I guess in a way she wanted to keep him a part of her, so I think it's like, I guess history repeating itself, or experiencing, or feelings repeating itself. Yeah, so far I would say with the last 40 pages left, I'm gonna give it 5 stars because I'm very much enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it, but just reading him, like. So yeah, and sorry for this from the update, but there's a lot. I'm trying not to spoil this novel, so yeah, I'm just trying to get better at not spoiling the novels, but I don't know, I think it's because I did major in English in university, so I'm used to people having read the same text discussing it. Like, I guess that's what I'm going to go for, but also now I'm keeping in mind that people who've watched this video probably haven't read the book, and I don't know, but I just want an opinion on it, so yeah, I'm just going to be trying to spoil books less. We shall see how that goes, and yeah, I think that's all for now. I'm tired, so I'm going to lie down. So it's the next day, and I've tried to do some work and whatnot. I've just been feeling off all day. I don't know why. Like, I'm not tired or anything, but it's like I just cannot focus. Like, yeah, I don't know. But I have done quite a bit of reading, and I did finish The Lamb by Lucy Wallace, and this is a 5 star. Like, my word, I do have to say the mother-daughter relationship in here is so like toxic. Like, Mama is so fucking selfish. Like, she didn't want a child, but she gave it anyway. And then when she has this child, she just uses her child to help her satisfy her hunger in more than one way. So I have to say, and where's my train of thought? And then it's like, yeah, you wound me. I am a mother. Like, you wound me. I gave you a piece of myself, and I regret it. Like, the way they talk to each other towards the end, my word, like, Margot actually says that she doesn't think she loves Mama because she dreams of hurting Mama, and she, I guess, is happy in this dream, and yeah. Like, the ending of this novel is really like, it gives Mama an opportunity to do two things. A, keep someone she loves around, but also rid herself of this burden she now views Margot as. Like, with Margot's recent behavior and the fact that Margot is growing up, like, it could risk causing Mama to lose everything she holds dear, and Mama cares more about Eden than she does about her own daughter. And it's like, she's so selfish and should not have been a mother in the first place. Like, my lord. And the way Mama treats Margot, it affects Margot's perception of love. Like, she actually, as she views a mama and a papa as a union of two lonely people who are remains of a fire, charred and burnt and broken, and like, you give yourself over, and in the end, like, you're just destroyed and a shell of yourself compared to the person you were before you met this person. Like, anyway, her perception of love has been utterly destroyed even before she knew, I guess, what it was properly like to love someone. I do say there's this scene where Margot, like, she stops seeing herself as this like individual person, but starts seeing herself as this thing made up of other people. Like, she sees Mama in herself and Papa and Eden even in herself. Everyone that's made her who she is, and the way she no longer feels like, I guess, this so individual, but this like this thing that's been made up of other things and other parts. Like, she's not entirely herself, and I don't know. I guess that is also a thing of becoming a parent, is giving a piece of yourself to create this new being. Because yes, I guess, what is the word I'm gonna say? What word? Like, yes, she is part Mama and part her Papa. Like, the details in each of them have come together and to create this individual. And with Eden coming along, Eden has added her own flavor to who Margot is, and you know, I don't know, it's quite interesting, but yeah. And we see towards the end, like, I guess how cool she is also being to herself. Like, she is starving herself so she'll be less tasty to Eden and Mama, and that there's less meat to her. So, and Mama admits that she tried to love Margot, really love her, but she just couldn't bring herself to do so. And she ate Mama alive, and now it is Mama's turn for a bite. So, but yeah, we get the outcome, like, of what happens to Margot and how no one was able to save her, not even herself, and that whole thing. Like, after what happened, she takes us through the aftermath of what Eden and Mama do, and she now haunts the homestead. Like, she's not able to leave the homestead even after the events that took place. But also we see, like, she was trying to make sure the moment you didn't get out of this alive as well. Like she was slowly poisoning herself they so that she could poison them, and then they both died. So yeah. And time passes, and they both bodies what like I do have to say the bus driver. I think he was my favorite character in this entire thing. Like he just cared about Marvel to the point where he actually went to the homestead to see what was happening there. To see how bad the situation is. He sees the two bodies and he probably presumes since the fact like Marvel's nowhere to be seen that she probably had something to do with this, and I do have to say that part was a bit confusing in the sense like why is it only Marvel who's like hunting the homestead, why not the other victims? Like could it be because she had a connection to Noah Eden and yeah, but she's still there in her homestead. Like she just becomes another story, and I do like the last line. Like it's like where it's like she ensures that the woods are safe. It's like this is finally over. People are finally safe, and no one has to worry about being lost in these woods permanently. Like overall, despite that issue I had about why was this her that was haunting the homestead, I did give it 5 stars. And I did start my next book, and I'm on page 38 of that one. And I started The Broken Girls by Simone St. James, which is about maybe the synopsis. This is 2 timelines, and so far what I've read, it's like going back and forth with each chapter. So we get Vermont in 1950. There's a place for the girls whom no one wants, the troublemakers, the illegitimate, the too smart for their own good. It's called Outer Wild Hall, and in the small town where it's located, there are rumors that the boarding school is haunted. 4 roommates bond over their whispered fears, their budding friendship blossoming until one of them mysteriously disappears. Then we get Vermont in 2014. As much as she's tried, journalist Falona Sheridan cannot stop revisiting the events surrounding her older sister's death 20 years ago. Her body was found dumped in the overgrown fields near the ruin of Idaho Hall, and though her sister's boyfriend was tried and convicted of murder, Fiona cannot shake the suspicion that something was never right about the case. When Fiona discovers that Idaho Hall is being restored to by an anonymous benefactor, she decides to write a story about it. But a shocking discovery during the renovations will link the loss of her sister to the secrets that were meant to stay hidden in the past in a voice that won't be silenced. And so far, what I've read is really just like the synopsis. Like in 1950, we get this girl named Katie's point of view, and she talks about Idaho Hall, and while she's there, she was someone who caused trouble with her parents, and we see her roommates, whom one is like an illegitimate child, one is an immigrant, and they're sharing ghost stories of this ghost that is rumored to be haunting their house, and a girl named Mary Ann was reported to have died after being locked out. And yeah, they're just sharing their ghost stories, and as well, really seeing the sightings people reported in older textbooks, because with the school wall, it is like didn't really care for these girls and whatnot. Like it is, we use the same textbook over and over for Latin and whatnot, and people wrote down sightings of Mary Ann in the book. And we also see in 2014 the obsession that Fiona has with her sister's death, like going to the world where the body was found and whatnot. And when she learns about the school being renovated, there's a quote that was mentioned that I do like, and it's on page 13. Girls were going to be playing in the field where Deb's body had lain. They would build new buildings, tear down old ones, add a park, and then they'd be widen the road. All of this landscape that had been here for 20 years. The landscape she knew so well, the landscape of Deb's death, would be gone, and the world has moved on, like, and people do find it weird that Fiona hasn't. Like, Fiona just simply hasn't moved on. She can't help but questioning like how her sister's boyfriend did it, and really she wants to know the full story, and we see how she convinces her editor or boss, not sure what it would be, because she is a freelance journalist at this local newspaper, to allow her to write a story and to give her files about the school and whatnot. We see the history behind the school, how after it was closed down in 79 it just fell into disarray and whatnot. So yeah, and we also see how Fiona, she isn't really able to escape from her father's shadow. Her father was this famous journalist who really wrote very well, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, and we see how Fiona also has this boyfriend, this police officer boyfriend. It seems like they, like, she's not part of his world, he's not part of hers. Like, she's never been to any social event at the police station. Like, he's met her dad, but it was awkward, and the same with her meeting his parents and whatnot. But so far, I would say I am intrigued. So yeah, I think for the rest of the day I'm just gonna try and do some more work, get over this weird brain fog, because I don't know what's causing it, because I did get good sleep and whatnot, but I just feel so out of it, so not blurry, but so like, not, I don't feel clear-minded, I guess would be the best way to describe how I feel, but yeah, we will see if I get over this, but yeah, that's all for now. So it's the next day, and we did get some more snow today. I thankfully did not need to clean it, as we probably just got a coating, and it was not away due to rain, so that's good for me. But besides that, I have also just done some work on my laptop and whatnot. I feel less brain foggy than I did yesterday, for I think it's also time for me to cut my bangs just because they are getting a bit long, so could be that, but yeah. And I did do quite a bit of reading of the Broken Girls, and I'm on page 120, and I'm liking it so far. We do learn about the other girls from the 1950 timeline, like how Roberta, she had this mental breakdown after she found her uncle, who was a World War II veteran, after he attempted suicide or committed suicide, and she like stopped speaking. Like, her parents did try to send her to doctors and a psychiatrist, which was like unheard of in 1950. You can imagine. Before they sent her to the school, just like to like forget about her. Really, it seems like, and she did get better, but during a field hockey practice, when that goes Mary Hand did speak to her, and it caused her to stop talking, like take all of the words out of her mouth for a minute, and then she was back to normal. And we learned more about Sonia, who is a refugee from France, who came here without her parents. We learn in the present timeline as well that her father is dead, but there's no records of her mother and where the rest of her family is. Like, she was in a concentration camp, but I mean, at least her father was during World War II in France, and it seems like after the war that they disappeared before she resurfaced as a refugee in the US. So it's like what happened to her, and that she has these episodes where she just freezes, and she has one we witnessed it when they're in a cafeteria during dinner, and there's a fight that breaks out, and the teachers get involved and whatnot, and she just freezes, and other girls have to take her back to the dorm before she gets in trouble, because God forbid, like, she frees up or have an episode like of that sort and she gets in trouble. But and we also learn more about Katie, how the reason she was there was because she caused some trouble. That wasn't even her fault. When someone attempted to rape her, and she came home and like looking in disarray, and her parents like had enough of her behavior. I'm guessing she also caused. They also think that she caused problems in the past, and they just sent her away to try and have her under control. It seems like, from what we learned in present day, that she did run away from the boarding school. Like, that was a thing for girls to run away from the boarding school. And we also see how the ghost like speaks to her and repeats the words of her attempt wipe is to let Katie to let her in, which I do find interesting that we are seeing perspectives from these four girls, these four women, because they've all gone through something. It seems like, and yet this ghost is affecting them in some way or in some regard. So I do find that interesting. But yeah, and in present day, Fiona she gets the tour of the building before reconstruction properly starts by the son of the person who bought the building. And that guy seems like he doesn't want to be there. It could be because the building's fucking creepy. Like it's in disarray. It looks like the students and the teachers just got up and laughed. But Fiona just assumes that it's because his mother waited until his father died to buy the building. Like his father thought the building was useless, worthless I should say, and forbid the mother from buying it. So it's like he's upset with his mother like dishonoring his father's memory. But yeah, the tour goes off as normal. She needs to ask her questions, but there's not enough time until there's a body found, and I'm not gonna say who. But the investigation continues, and there's a new investigation. We do learn eventually, like, the reason, like, it wasn't really more investigated at this disappearances. It's a student from the school, I should say. 1 minute, they turned my light off. I'm so sorry for this mess of an update, but the light is getting better for me, I don't know. But it is a student from the school from 1950, one of the girls. And her disappearance was initially written as a disappearance, like she went away while she was coming back, which is a bit odd considering her suitcase was found at the gates of the school. But yeah, I don't know, like it from what we saw in the back of her skull was like quite cashed in question, like someone hit her from behind, that she was murdered and someone dumped her body not far from where Deb's body was found. And I do like that Fiona just pointed out that this girl was immediately forgotten about when she died, and Fiona, she had this grand funeral, people remembered her and whatnot. Like, this girl didn't have anyone to remember her, and Deb did, which I do like that those differences, I guess. And as well, the night that Deb died, her boyfriend did say that some girls deserve to die or something. So yeah. And speaking of Deb's family, like Fiona, like she's continuing her investigation. The records from the school like disappeared, but Fiona was able to find them. Apparently, a teacher took them, saying that they would have been lost forever, and she kept them preserved in the shed. And Fiona goes to her father and tells him what she's learned from this investigation so far, and it's like it brings this light back in him that she hasn't seen since before Deb died. Like the second Deb died, that light went out, and he was a changed man. He was less outspoken and whatnot. Deb's death also infected her mother, but the mother now hasn't passed on. So it seems like with the fact that this girl's body was found so close to where Fiona's body, not Fiona, my god, why do I keep mixing them up? So close to where Deb's body was found is one reason Fiona seems so invested in this case, but also the fact like it's bringing life back into her father, like she's puppet for Canva. So yeah, and I do like now how Fiona is now working with her boyfriend Jamie to figure this out, like to investigate this case, because I am like in that relationship and how it seems like they're both intrigued in learning about what happened to this girl. And I mean, for him it is his job, but eventually it is a cold case. Like, girl's been dead for 50 years, like, and there's more relevant cases, and it is a small police station, so they do have to choose their priorities, and unfortunately this girl is not a priority. But yeah. And we do get more news, I guess, about Deb's cases and that. When Fiona's like at the magazine she works at returning a file, she can't help but be curious about like the magazine's reporting of Deb's death. And she learns that the reporter on this case, like, he interviewed this worker at an ice cream parlor who saw the person who was convicted of murdering Deb in the ice cream parlor around the time that the murder took place, and yet this worker was never called forth in court in the guy's defense, so that's a bit odd. I am intrigued to see where that goes, but yeah. So far, I'm definitely, I think I'm like in like House Booked in 1950. Everyone is of this ghost because it is like it's not this talk, like strange shit is happening at the school, like when they're in class, when the door slams open and there's a voice, like, and the teachers, like, they don't want to believe it, like Katie gets blamed for this, and the teacher, because the teacher cannot find another reasonable reason for it, I guess. And she did argue with Katie before the door slammed open, so that is interesting. But also I'm intrigued to see what really happened with Deb's death, if the guy who's convicted of her death actually did it, and I guess I'm intrigued to see more of like why Fiona just cannot really let this go. It has been 20 years and she's still so invested in her sister's death, even though she should have gotten all of the answers when the guy was put away, but something I guess inside her is not satisfied with that story, and yeah, and I'm just very much intrigued to see where this goes next. So yeah, I think that's all for now. I'm so sorry for this mess of an update. But yeah, I'll see. So it's the next day, and I just got back from doing some grocery shopping. So me and my family, we go to like a bunch of different stores for everything. I don't know why we do it, why it's so chaotic. But yeah, my grocery shopping took me about 2 flipping hours. Like, yeah, and I did try to film a bit today of that, but I think because of the fact it's so routine for me, I'm like, is this interesting? And also the fact, I'm like, go, like, I like being in and out. The only funny thing that happened was that, I'm sorry if I'm playing with my, but they recently closed what is it, like an LA Fitness in a shopping plaza I go to, so all of the equipment was like in, like kind of in the street, I would say, not in the street, but kind of on a wall, as it's being loaded in a truck, and I'm just trying to go from the store I was at to the gas station, and from the store, which is like a Sam's Club, to their gas station, and LA Fitness was like in the middle, and that was the struggle, but that was also a bit funny. But yeah, and I did go back to that Washington store. We typically like go there every few weeks, like not so often, but might I want to see. But we wanted to see if they had something that they didn't have last week. They didn't, but I wanted to show you what I typically do get when I'm at that. But I wanted to show you a couple kind of desserty bits I typically do get whenever I go there, and that would be this thing, which I think I've shown you before, which is a cake I usually get, and also this poppy seed Danish, which is what about last week, but I unwrapped it before I could show you. So yeah, and also I got your like standard groceries, so nothing really interesting to showcase. And before I left to do all that, I did do some work on my computer, and I did do some reading of the book and Girls, and I'm on page 174, and I'm still intrigued. We do learned that that worker who saw Deb's murder the night of the death was actually the owner, and it wasn't him that saw her, but his son. Not her, my word. It wasn't him who saw the murderer, but his son, and it was like hours earlier. For some reason, the owner lied to the reporter and to the police about when and who saw the murderer, and then for some reason got upset with his son when he asked like why he lied. Like the son, when Fiona interviews him, says he's been belted or beaten by his father 3 times now. It's one of those times, so that's a bit strange for that. He got that upset, and yeah, and Fiona, she goes back to the school and she is looking around and she sees this girl on the field in the exact same position, not exact same position where Deb's body was found. And as Fiona's getting closer to this girl, she hears "I Will Survive" by Gloria Gaynor, which was her sister's favorite song, like a song that, because it's so popular, Fiona had to train herself to disconnect from her sister in order to tolerate the song. And I do like that this ghost is using, like, I guess, people's weaknesses, like either words or music or something that will have an effect on them to really get to them. Like, I do like that aspect. And it turns out Anthony does know about this ghost, and that's probably why he was so freaked out about it. And his mother, after learning who Fiona's father is and the fact she's Deb's sister, agrees to have an interview with her. Apparently Deb's murder made its way all the way to New York, which is a bit odd considering this is quite a smallish town in Vermont, so we still don't fully understand like why Anthony's mother, Margaret, has such a strong interest in the school and the building itself, like if it's like because of the ghost or considering she has no ties to this school. Like she's from Connecticut and she lived with her husband in New York, and as well her husband did not want her buying this property because of the fact it's so, because of the state it's in the disarray, and it's practically useless, worthless. So yeah, I am intrigued to see if we will learn more about her interest in this, if it is this story about this ghost, because she does want a peek at the school records to see if Mary Hand does show up in them, if she was a student or if she has a connection to it. Like I think she has an, because when she's talking to Fiona about the ghost, she describes the outfit that Fiona saw the ghost wearing, which is like this black dress and veil and all that. It's like a bit weird. I do have to say, like, Fiona, she's telling Jamie about this whole thing, and she thinks he's gonna be like that she has to go on the meds and whatnot. And he's like, why not? Like, he might not be the biggest believer, but who knows? Like, maybe there's a possibility this thing exists, because kids have been saying that the school's been haunted for years, so. And they find the records, they get their hands on the records, and they find Sonia's records in particular, and they see that her disappearance was immediately written off as her running away, like the police didn't investigate it properly. And the headmistress like writes this note that's not in a police file, but it's in Sonia's file, and then there's this afterward where it's like Sonia's suitcase, which was in her office, had disappeared, which is a bit odd, and it's like probably the murderer took it for whatever reason. But yeah, Fiona's dad calls when she's about to leave for dinner with Jamie's parents, and he said he found where Sonia was before she came to the U.S., that she was at a different camp than her father's, and we get this scene of Sonia telling Roberta her experience in the camp after fainting during weekly gardening, which is like once a week garden session that girls have to do, like it's mandatory. And it seems like Sonia has some sort of PTSD because when she was at this concentration camp with her mother, which was like a women and girls camp, they were forced to dig all day, every day for no particular reason, and it seems like those memories still have an effect on her. Really. I'm not gonna say it's interesting, but yeah, and we do learn the reason that Sonia and her family ended up in a concentration camp was because her parents were both activists. Like her father was a writer and her mother was handing out pamphlets against Hitler. So that is why, really. And I do have to say, we see like after this the girls opening up to one another and talking about their lives before they came into the school, and them like sneaking in extra food for Sonia, making sure she's eating and taking care of her. Like it seems like they are becoming like sisters, and I do like that aspect. But yeah, we also get this really flipping awkward scene with Fiona and Jamie and his parents. Like his father is a former cop. His mother seems really old fashioned. Like she looks like she's from the 80s and whatnot, and she's quite, I guess, proper and old fashioned really. And she doesn't seem like please talk at the table, and yes, they're talking about the whole thing and the fact like even though Jamie's father is retired, he's still nosy as hell when it comes to police business, which was quite amusing anyways. And the last page I read was like Jamie's father disapproving of the relationship because he thinks due to the fact Jamie is dating Fiona, who is a journalist, it will prevent Jamie from rising up in the ranks in a police station. So yeah, I guess I am more curious about Mary Ann and what her story exactly is, because it is rumored that she had a baby who was buried in the section where the weekly gardening takes place. I mean by that, I'm intrigued really to see the relationship between the girls, like prior. Oh god, I spoiled. I just realized I spoiled. Who exactly disappears? My word, I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. But I'm intrigued to see how the relationship between the girls changed prior to Sonia, wow, disappearing, if it's still like this history bond they're having, or if they have a falling out, or what. I'm very much intrigued. And also intrigued to see the future of Fiona and Jamie, I guess so. Yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling and lie down because my god, I am exhausted and I can tell with this rumble. So yeah. So it's the next day and I've just done some work and whatnot, and I'm still cringing from my update from yesterday. I shouldn't have updated when I did. I should have waited until I was more rested for. So I apologize for whatever that was yesterday. I was so tired. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to edit that when I have to. And yeah, I have done a bit more reading of the book and girls, and I'm on page 260, and I do have about 60 pages left. I don't know if I will continue this vlog until tomorrow on Sunday. I do typically end my vlogs on Saturday. That's like it's a full rounded week, so. Or if I like skip tomorrow and I start my vlog Monday, because honestly, given an update on the last like 60 pages, like I don't know, and I do edit vlogs on Sunday, and I don't know, I like that routine, plus things in my life are a bit different in some aspects, so I don't really know if I'll be able to on Monday, and I don't know, I just like editing on my video in one go, so we shall see what I decide. But on what happened in the book and girls is that we do learn the reason why the owner of the shop lied about seeing Deb's murderer at the time of Deb's death, and why that testimony never made it to trial. Turns out it did have something to do with Jamie's dad, who was chief at the time, kind of doing favors, and really like this is the first time in the modern day timeline we see the corruption, I guess, in the police force, which I do like the fact like that is being explored in this novel because like they are in a small town, so you can assume people like they do favors for one another, like either like their friends have gone in trouble, their friend's son, or someone who has more power in this town, like a wealthy family or the mayor. Like as the as long as the cop believes like what they're doing is harmless, no one's gonna get hurt, they will do it for their friend. And Jamie, when he entered the police force, he initially wanted to change it, like when his father, who was the chief at the time and was the ringleader of the whole thing, retired, and then he would change things. And then he kind of fell into the pattern until he was in the force for 7 years, until once he met Fiona, that he realized that no, he was wrong, that this whole thing's toxic, the system does need to change, something needs to be done, and he did try to change it, but the cops, the people at the station, they're so set in their ways that they don't want change. And as well, Jamie's father, even though he is retired, he still holds immense amount of power at the station. Like he knows things about the investigation that Jamie and Fiona are conducting into Sonia's death and the whole thing. So that is interesting, seeing if something will change or if things will stay the same. And also with Jamie and Fiona, we see like how their relationship has been affected in this latter half. Like they do separate momentarily before coming back together. And yeah, I guess with Fiona, she does have this obsession still about death, and Jamie, he kind of understands, but he thinks Fiona is trying to find excuses behind her behavior and finding patterns to really like solidify the killer's guilt, because it must be the guy who was tried and convicted, even though he claimed to be innocent. Like, it has to make sense in her mind, and he thinks that she's kind of trying to change pieces and make things fit so it fits with the story she's telling herself, that the guy was a horrible guy. And they have this argument after Fiona, after she interviews Roberto, she is approached by this guy named Steven, who has his own not issues, but his own history with the guy who was convicted of killing Deb, and how he believes that he is also the one responsible for assaulting his sister and hitting her hard enough in the head that it affected her. She is in a hospital because of her head. I don't know what that was, I'm sorry. It goes into more detail in the book, but I didn't write that down in my notes. And honestly, I'm totally thinking. But he tells Fiona that his sister was dating the guy, and Jamie is taking what happened and taking what this guy is telling her. A guy who can't really be trusted because he's an addict, so can you really trust his testimony? Like, I mean, I might be wary, but not write it off completely the way Jamie does. And where did my train of thought go? Oh my gosh, I'm a mess. But, yeah, okay. Jamie thinks Fiona's trying to take this and paint a picture of, like, the guy of Deb's murder being this abusive, controlling guy who, when a girl upsets him in some way, that he assaults her. And, like, when they're dating and they have a fight, or he's not able to control her, like, Jamie believes Fiona was trying to paint the murderer as a bad guy, and, you know, whole fight thing, and they do realize they were both in the wrong, and that, I mean, Deb was her sister, so she's not gonna let it go, and yeah. And with the meeting with Roberto, I'm just gonna get back to it. We learn we see that Roberto like spent her case, her entire career, kind of getting justice for those who were mistreated. Like after her uncle attempted suicide, he was sent to be in a hospital where he probably shouldn't have been. Like it was just a mental hospital where I guess the outcasts of society were just sent to be like hidden from the rest of society, I guess. And she was able to free him and get him the help he was supposed to get for his PTSD, and he was able to be happy. And also, it seems like Roberta was curious about the records because she also believed they were destroyed, and she tells Fiona that after Sonia disappeared, that the fun group fell apart. Something we kind of do start to see, and it makes sense in a sense. Like they're all grieving Sonia differently. Like for Roberto and Cece, their grief is more, I guess, outspoken out there, while Katie, she is holding her grief in and she's holding back, and she's kind of like putting her walls up and trying to protect herself. And we see like after Sonia disappeared, how the teachers and students, like maybe after a couple of days, immediately wrote off Sonia as another runaway because the school does have an issue of girls wanting to go away. So yeah, but the three girls who were her roommates, the three girls who were her friends, her sisters, who knew her the best out of everyone, they didn't believe that. So yeah, and they were the ones who did take the suitcase from the headmistress's office to kind of learn more of like what could have happened and find some evidence, as well as the fact they didn't think it was right that Sonia's suitcase would be in the hands of someone who just didn't give a shit about her. So yeah, seeing that and Sonia's story will never really be, I guess, fully completed, in the sense like the records from the concentration camp she was at were completely destroyed prior to the Soviets liberating the camp, and it seems like the person that Fiona is speaking to about these records like cannot help but, I guess, speculate that maybe Sonia was a victim of opportunity. Like she was a girl in this foreign country, no one really looking out for her, and if someone was in the mood to murder someone, I mean, she wouldn't have been missed. So I don't know. I'm wondering if that's one way to take it. There's several paths that could have happened, like, and we do get the scene of Fiona like writing down a list of suspects, and like a stranger, a boy, one of the girls, someone else, like being responsible for Sonia's stuff. Like there are many theories, and I'm very much intrigued to see reality and other theories. This one made me chuckle in a sense, like when Fiona is talking to her father, she actually Googles Nazis in Vermont. I'm like, I don't know, it just seems like a bit too easy. I want this, like, way too straightforward. But she does learn that there was a woman in Vermont who was accused and trialed and acquitted of being a Nazi, a guard at the same camp as Sonia. And that she was known as Rosa Berlitz in Germany, and after the Second World War she moved to the US, where she changed her name to Rose Albert. And the funny thing is, she worked in like a travel agency in the same town that Sonia's grand aunt and uncle lived, and she probably saw Sonia, and Sonia was buying her bus ticket to go back to the school, so she might have followed Sonia to silence her. So yeah, I am just very much intrigued to see like which theory points out, because the boy theory, the fact that Sonia could have met someone and went away, is like, it seems like the way she was, and the fact she was like completely like isolated from the town and the rest of the world, doesn't really fit. I mean, it could also have been a dumb ghost, which we do learn more about, like the fact, like, she did, that Marianne did have a baby and he died, and that she was buried next to her baby in the garden at the school. So yeah, who knows? It does intrigue to see. And yeah, sorry, I think, I don't know, I'm still deciding when to end this vlog, but I'm just gonna do the outro now, and if I decide that I'm gonna add tomorrow into this vlog, then so be it, or add as an afterthought. But yeah, but that's it for this video. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, tell me what you've been up to recently. If you want to, please subscribe to this channel, and if you want to follow me on any social media, then all those links are in the down bar below. I'll see you guys next time I post a video. Bye. So I did decide to add my final thoughts of the Broken Girls to the end of this vlog. I already edited the whole thing, so I'm just gonna add this clip in as like an afterthought. Yeah, Fiona goes to this like old drive-in theater that's across the street from the school. She really asks for Steven, who lives there, and like the owner, since the movie theater shut down, allows people who are struggling with drugs and want to get clean to stay there. He lost his son to drug addiction, and he wants to go to the hospital. But he was there the night Deb was killed and her body was dumped, and we learned that he was threatened, that the other people who were there hanging out were threatened by Jamie's father, who was helping Deb's murderer get away with it. Like, the guy's family did have a lot of money and whatnot, and anyway, Jamie's father shows up. He had this not decision, but he had this feeling that Fiona would be there asking questions, being nosy and whatnot. Which I feel like this was a few days after he saw her, so like, why now? I don't really get it. But yep, he forces Fiona into his car and drives away, and he tells her the whole thing. And as well, like, including he thought he was friends with the guy's family, but he knew that if things ever got out, they would throw him under the bus. And he did what he did to try and kind of keep his record straight. And but he tells Fiona of this willingly because he is planning to silence her. Yeah, you know what I mean by that. And she jumps out of the car. There's a bit of a struggle which should have felt more intense, but I don't know, I think overall, like, I just didn't really feel connected to this novel personally. Like, I just, not really for me, but yeah. And she wants, there's a bit of a struggle, and she ends up in a school where he's arrested and she is hospitalized because of the fact he did try to strangle her, and as well she was feeling a bit sick, so like with the flu and whatnot. So yeah, there's that. And when she's about to leave the hospital, she is confronted by the 3 other girls who've reunited. And before she was released from the hospital, she did learn who Margaret Eden was, the woman who bought the school property, or really I should say who she really is and her relation to the school. So Margaret was married to this guy named Joseph Eden, who just happened to be Cece's half-brother. They shared the same father, but the guy was also a bastard, like an illegitimate son, and since he was his father's only son, he inherited everything through not the family surname, which Margaret, or should I say Katie, did. Yep. And yeah, the other 3 women, like, they are all together. Bertrand did lie to Fiona when she asked like her about like the friendship. It seems like they were still in contact, and they tried everything to really learn what happened to Sonia. And they learned about the whole Rosa thing, and after Rosa was in Crete, they did go to her house to confront her and was it confess to murdering her and everything. The only thing she didn't do was tell them where the body was, because then she wouldn't have to go for another trial. But the other three women, they tried to learn, but they weren't able to, and Fiona thinks they might have had something to do with Rosa's death. Because while they were there, that's when she had her heart attack. So, in a way, indirectly they did, but she still had a heart attack. There's no proof that they did anything. Yeah, but yeah, Katie does tell Fiona that she isn't planning to restore the school whatsoever. She's just planning to tear it down and then let it be destroyed. Like it was already falling apart. She's just helping by pull out of the pieces and then everything collapsed completely. So there's that. They want to bury Sonia and put all of this behind them, and they do dig up Mary Hann's body alongside the body of her child, and it seems like by digging them up and I guess given it a proper rest that Mary and her child will move on. But yeah, I would say with this novel, I do kind of wish we saw more of the police corruption in it, just because I feel like there was just something that was introduced like almost out of nowhere. Like we didn't get much of an inclination that maybe Depp's murderer had the police in his pocket and that there was this whole corruption. Like I think I would have liked it to do hints of it before it was really revealed, but yeah, we do see the consequences of that, how the media got their hands on the story, how there's websites about it, about Depp's murderer, and how the state's, what was it called? I did put in my notes. Oh, Bureau of Investigation is investigating that police station, which will just cause a lot of problems for the chief. So yeah, this upside wants Fiona to like shut down this whole thing, but she's putting on this like innocent act. And we see really like Jamie just quitting the police. Like what's happened just didn't leave a good feeling about him. Everything he knew and thought was really a lie. So yeah, and really that is it. Overall, I didn't feel very connected to the novel. Like there were parts about it intriguing, but I don't know, it was fine. Like I'm gonna give this a 3 stars, and yeah, and that's it for this video. So